What year did you start grammar school?
I started grammar school in 1949 at Smart Station.
What was it like going to school there?
Well, it was altogether different than what it is now. We had to take our water, draw water out of the well, and put it in a water keg, and everybody had to have their own drinking cups. And then we had to uh, take wood for the wood stove or coal, either one, whichever one we had, and that's the way we heated the building. Everybody took turns of filling up the keg and filling up the heating stove.
What'd you do after school?
Well, after school, back then, everybody had a job to do. Everybody mostly was farmers, and we had to go in, milk, feed, and do what else was to do. Then we went in and took a bath, eat supper, and by that time, it was bedtime. And then we'd get up and start the same thing over again. That was everyday job, 7 days a week for the farming deal. Except for school. We didn't go to school, but we had to work, had to milk and feed every morning and every night. That was every day. That was 7 days a week.
What'd you do for fun, like on the Saturdays?
Well, on a Saturday, if it's summertime, we get to go to the creek and swim. And that was about it. And we finally got a bicycle. We got to ride our bicycle until it was feeding time again and milking. And we had to go back to the same thing again as every day.
How many brothers did you have to share that bicycle with?
Two.
Two brothers.
Yeah, we had to take turns riding the bicycle. And by the time we done that, it would be, we'd get in school. If we had any time left, we'd ride a little while. And then by that time, it'd be bedtime. By the time we all took a turn riding.
All right. Now, what'd you do after you got out of school?
Well, I got out of grammar school at Smart Station. Then I went to high school at Morrison and went there till I was a junior. And then we moved from where we lived to another location. And then I went to Central my last 2 years of high school, and that's where I graduated of Central High School in 1961 and 62.
What'd you do after you got out of high school?
Well, after I got out of high school, I got a job at Century Electric. That's what it was at that time, was Century Electric. And I worked there for about 2 years. And then I went into the Army. And then when I got out, I went back to Century and worked 4 more years there. Then I got out and worked at the machine shop for about a year. And then I started working for myself, growing nursery stuff.
What'd you do in the Army?
Well, I had different jobs in there. I was a MP, started out as an MP, and then I was in motor maintenance for a while. And then I was transferred to infantry for a while. I had about three different jobs while I was in there. You got no pause.
Yeah. We got like 5 minutes left.
5 left?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what else can you ask me?
What was it like in the Army?
Well, well, you can ask me that if you want to.
Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. What was it like in the Army?
Well, it wasn't too bad. Basic training was pretty rough, and after I got out of basic training, it wasn't too bad. It was just more or less like going on a job. You do your job, and then another, be like another shift would come in and do the same job you was doing, and then the next day you take your shift over, just like a different shift on the job. And then if they wanted you or needed you somewhere else, then you would go where they needed you the most. You never knew where you was going or when you was going. So all in all, it wasn't too bad. It was a lot of good times, a lot of bad times.
Did you make some good friends?
Oh yeah, made lots of friends then. Yeah.
What y'all do for fun then?
Oh, we had the PX. We'd go to PX and get, just like around here, get candy and drinks and go to picture shows. Just different things, just whatever they had going there, you know. But everywhere you went, you had to go by the rules. Whatever rules they had, you had to be in at a certain time and stuff like that. Just like everywhere else, really.
Okay. What was your first car?
My first car, I got my first car when I got out of high school. Or no, before I got out of high school, about 4 or 5 months before I got out of high school. It was a 57 Chevrolet Bel Air. And at that time I gave $1,100 for it. And then that was a lot of money. But today they'd be the same thing, probably in good shape, would bring about $25,000, $30,000, I guess.
Alright, I got it paused. So what else should I ask you?
How much time we got? How much you got left?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Let's see, I don't know. Is that a mosquito buzzing around you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, let's see, what else can you ask me now? You can ask me what, let me figure this out before you ask me though. You can ask me when I got married. And let's see, we might think of something else here. You can ask me what it was like in high school or something other than 3 or 4 more minutes and get you an extra minute in there or something.
Alright. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. What was it like in high school? Like your friends and stuff? Like,
well, it was pretty much the way it is now, only there wasn't that many. And if you didn't do your work, you would get failed easy, and at that time you didn't get much a second chance. You'd have to repeat the same year again. But it was a lot more strict then in school than it is now. There wasn't as much, but then we didn't have phones. We didn't have all that stuff when I was going to school then. And we pretty much had to go by the rules. And if you didn't, you would get expelled very easy. And you either had to pass, you either passed or you didn't pass. That's pretty much it. You didn't get much of a chance to do nothing else about it, you know. So that was about it. All in all, it was pretty good.
When'd you get married?
Oh, I got married in about, I think, best I remember, 67 or 68. And I had my first kid in 69, I think, something like that. And I had 2 boys. And both of them is done pretty good.